The NFL draft is over, and Shedeur Sanders fell all the way to the 5th round. Does draft position even matter? Is this going to affect Shedeur Sanders' card value in the future? Will anyone on the Cleveland Browns ever sell for a high price? Let's get into it and some wild college football sales on eBay this week on this week's episode of Up or Down. What is up, everybody? I am Dappz here with Ethan, and welcome to another episode of Up or Down, the show where we explore what drives a card's value up or down. In today's episode, we are going to go over which player who just got drafted to the NFL has the highest likelihood of holding value over the long term. So now we're going to go into second overall pick, Travis Hunter, who recently had a sale at, I believe, close to $12K on a red lava. And a year before that, Travis Hunter had his superfractor out of Bowman U sell for somewhere around $7,500. So obviously that is now worth more than $12,000. The question is, do you like Travis Hunter's cards going up, or you're not into this whole defender and receiver? Is he going to be a legit receiver? Is he going to be a legit cornerback? Is he going to be one or the other? I think there's a lot of questions in the air on Travis.
Everyone loves to prospect on unicorns, like Jack Caglione in baseball and Shohei Ohtani or Victor Wembanyama, a big man that can shoot. People love experimental prospects. I think there's going to be a huge market for Travis Hunter because he's playing on the field for 85% of the entire snaps. That's more than Tom Brady. That's more than Patrick Mahomes. You're going to see a lot of Travis Hunter. So I expect his market to go up fast. But if there's no success on one side of the ball, then that will be shot down very quick.
I agree. I think that we've seen Shohei Ohtani and his value skyrocket. I mean, he's also winning MVPs. But if Travis Hunter has top 5, top 10 interceptions as a D-back, and he's got top 5, top 10 receptions and touchdowns as a wide receiver, I don't know how you don't give him the MVP award.
Yeah, I really like how Jacksonville went up for this pick. They went up for a local guy who they've had a lot of film on. They know he can play both sides of the ball. This kind of reminds me in 2016 when they took Jalen Ramsey in the 5th overall pick, another local product. We know if he played a full season defensively, he's an elite corner. But if we can get him on second and third down, lining up next to BTJ, getting deep ball from Trevor Lawrence, like that is an impact player on both sides of the ball.
And historically, you're not going to see a huge value for a wide receiver card or a defensive card. But the fact that he's doing both can obviously put him into the MVP conversation any year if he does perform well. And by the way, he could be top 10 or top 5 on one side of the ball and not top 5 on another side and still be in the conversation because he's the only dude playing both sides of the ball.
He could set records in terms of snaps. He can even play special teams. So imagine if he's playing defense, offense, special teams, plays 90% of a whole team snap, and that team is in the playoffs. You have to dedicate that win percentage to Travis Hunter.
Yeah, another player I want to talk about is Ashton Jeanty. And we're talking about a Saquon-esque kind of guy on the Raiders, good system, good team to be drafted into. Pete Carroll's in town. Geno Smith is the new quarterback. So I kind of like the structure of what he's stepping into. But again, historically, running back cards are not going to get you the most boom for your buck, but we did see Saquon go up significantly after the Super Bowl.
In terms of a player, the team pick, this was a tragic pick. You're wasting a 6th pick on a player that has no impact on the team's win percentage. Josh Jacobs went there recently, had a great 4 years, and they got rid of him and never made the playoffs. In terms of value, I mean, sure, he'll get a lot of carries, but averaging 3.5 carries a game on a 4-win team isn't going to build your market. The more value in terms of sports cards for running backs are the good teams that get 4th, 5th, 6th round running backs who are going to catapult into a lot of carries in a game. Those guys are going to explode. Like if you look back at Isaiah Pacheco, he was a 7th round pick, and his market was exploding the first year because he got all the carries.
So I think it's safe to say, though, that one card that's going to be sick is the Prism Black Ashton Jeanty, which is going to be a color match. That thing is going to be awesome. But I would agree with you. I don't see long-term value in holding an Ashton Genty card. I think that card will go down over time. I think typical hype of a Prism or whatever the product releasing, Genty will go up for 30 days, and then that product will probably slowly go down. Because the Raiders, let's be real, they're in a very tough division, right? Pete Carroll's first year. Geno Smith is 35 years old. I don't know how old he is. I don't like the Raiders' chances. You got to get through Mahomes. Jim Harbaugh's, in Los Angeles. He's going to put a team together. And then you got Sean Payton in Denver. So this division in terms of quarterbacks is wild.
Cooked.
So I'm saying Genty down. Travis Hunter, though, back to Travis Hunter. I'm saying he's going up in price.
I have a question. Is there ever been a good Raiders prospect? Like I've been in the hobby for a very long time, and I can't remember a hyped Raiders prospect coming out. Because what you said about the Prism Black is actually really cool. I like Spurs Prism Black, like the Jeremy Sochans and the Wembys, but I've never seen a Raiders player that I'm like, I want to go out and get this guy.
No, and the last, maybe there's one previous. And listen, Brock Bowers, obviously, people are choosing him as a tight end.
Okay.
But, Jamarcus Russell, when he was drafted by the Raiders, was supposed to be the guy, right? Obviously, he flopped and didn't do well.
2004 Bowman.
But, and now we're moving along to the Cleveland Browns, who just became extremely valuable in breaks. Shedeur Sanders, they got Dylan Gabriel. Now, also, 2 quarterbacks from one team in a break. I don't think we've ever seen that before. And I'll say, I like the prospecting, and there's going to be irrationality around Shedeur Sanders and his card going up.
Can you name the first pick of the Browns? I couldn't even tell you who it is. All I can name is Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel. I will never take that slot. Those are 2 guys that have been on 3 teams each and will not be in the league very long. The Browns are probably going to end up starting Kenny Pickett either way. And it's just this quarterback class was a dumpster fire. After Cam Ward, there's not a guy I would take. I mean, sure, Jackson Dart has potential, but I mean, his first Bowman was the same year as Caleb. He's been playing football for 5 years already. Who's the guy for the Saints that just got drafted? 26 years old?
Yeah, I saw tape on him. There's this video circulating online, which is like, this guy got drafted before Shedeur Sanders.
This guy shouldn't be allowed to be drafted. I thought he was a scout during his pro day. I don't know what he's... And then, in fact, he went over Shedeur Sanders, shows that there is no value in Shedeur Sanders. He didn't win any games that were big in Colorado. He didn't win any big games in Jackson State. His tape is him running backwards, backpedaling the whole time. I mean, I'm a Florida State guy. So, yes, I'm definitely a hater on all the Deion Sanders gimmick. But this is all just a big press move in terms of how good this quarterback actually is. He's not... The 5th round is where he should have went.
So let's talk about some sales of Shedeur Sanders. His orange auto first Bowman is selling for like 1.5, $1,000, $1,500. So, this is not very promising. Travis Hunter is already doing way bigger numbers than Shedeur. Shedeur was supposed to go top 10, falls to the 5th round, which I think was a big FU by the NFL owners, obviously, to him after his media day. But in terms of the NFL media and the owners and scouts and then the hobby, no correlation.
Nothing.
The hobby is going to believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to return from the ashes and lead the Browns to victory. By the way, the Browns are so bad that you can only go up from here. So that's why I also like Shedeur Sanders going up in price. I like Shedeur Sanders going up in price because if he doesn't start at the beginning of the season and then he comes in week 6, week 6, his prices are going up whether he plays good or not, right? Yep. The hobby's going to go crazy. Oh, Shedeur's starting this week. I'm going to sell my first Bowman auto, or I'm going to sell my Don Russ fucking downtown, right? So,
dude, my Dylan Gabriel cards are going up.
Exactly. And by the way, the funny thing is that similar to Mike White years ago, and this is kind of info to the hobby, this is like penny stocks, right? Mike White, out of nowhere, became the Jets starter, had a 2 or 3 week period where he played very well. His cards were probably 50 cents. They went up to $30 per. So if you're a Dylan Gabriel collector, which, by the way, sounds disgusting just saying those words, but if you are and you're buying those cards for $1, $5, $10, and he does somehow make it into a game, that's the week that you sell, and that's the week that you make your money.
There's ways to make money drafting rookies. The high drafted rookies like Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, there will be points where you can make your money. It will go up and down. You might need to wait multiple years to make your 3, 4, 5x. But the 3rd, 4th, 5th round guys, I've been circling one guy, Jalen Milroe, the only quarterback in the whole draft to play on one team his whole career, a 5-star quarterback. He's won tons of good SEC games, a lot of great film on him. He went to the Seahawks in the 3rd round. He might play earlier than you think, and he's a winner. So that's a guy that I could get when he comes out for cheap, hold on to. And not only when he plays, it will go up, but if he plays well, it could skyrocket. You can make a nice bag off holding a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th undrafted type of player.
Well, listen, I mean, I think prospecting quarterbacks is kind of the smartest thing to do because there's always an opportunity to sell those guys if they end up entering a game, right? So, I mean, what's been circulating recently is the kid who pulled the Black Finite, Mac Jones. And
Sharp.
he buys it, 10-year-old kid, or excuse me, he buys a pack, pulls the Prism Mac Jones, sells it for $100K within like 30 days. And guess what? If he didn't do that, that card is worth what now? $300?
I would
$1,000
pay
bucks?
$1,000 for that card just as a fancy paperweight. The Wander Franco red went up for auction the other day, and I bid $800 on it. It went for $1,800.
I had a chance to buy the Super. I think it was the Topps Chrome Super. I don't think it was the first Bowman, but for $5K. It was on eBay.
Really?
It was on eBay, and the guy was asking like 15 or 20, and I offered 2, and he said no. And then he, like a week later, he was like, dude, I'll sell it to you for $5K.
I love gimmicky bricks. Like Aaron Hernandez cards are sick. I mean, I'll always buy something a little goofy just to show off. Like if you have something goofy at your table, people will stop and give you comments.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, the Menendez brothers on that Mark Jackson card. And by the way, like that Mark Jackson card has been around since the 90s. And then the Menendez show comes out, and then everybody wants the card all of a sudden.
The funniest story I have is I had a fuckface card the other day, which is a Billy Ripken card, and I had to tell someone that wasn't Cal Ripken. They always thought that that's a Cal Ripken card, that's why it's expensive. I'm like, no, that's his brother. People like
Gimmicks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They like gimmicks. They like short prints. They like things that are, rare, right? But as far as back to up or down, I'm saying that Travis Hunter is going up, Ashton Genty down, and I'm saying Shedeur Sanders is going up. What are you saying?
I'm saying Cam Ward is up as the only prospect in the draft. I mean, I want to say if you merge this draft class with the last draft class, I think there's 3 good players that make it. I think Cam Ward's going up. I think Jackson Dart is up. And then I think Shedeur Sanders is just plummeting. Like no other. This needs to be studied as probably this should be a 80% loss in a 1 calendar month. If you looked at his cards should be down 80%.
Yeah, again, I like Jackson Dart being in the New York market, right? So I think that just being in a California or a New York market, you just have a higher population of people who are part of your fan base who are potentials to buy your card, right? So you're in a bigger market like New York. Now Jackson Dart is going to have a higher amount of demand for his cards, which will ultimately drive the price up, whether he's good or not. I don't think the Giants are very good at making personnel decisions. I watched them draft Daniel Jones and was in shock when they drafted him, and we've seen what's happened there. Then they sign Russ, sign Jameis, have Tommy DeVito, and draft Jackson Dart. Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, it's just too much. They didn't need to do all of these things. And by the way, I think that if you're going to sign Russ, you're going to get 2 years out of him. You have Jameis, great backup to have on the Giants to make sure that, like, at minimum, you're staying in the game, right? So I don't know what the Giants are doing. I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for Jackson Dart cards to go up. And I think it's cool that a lot of these bad teams that you might buy into breaks over the last year, like the Browns, like the Giants have been up because of Malik Neighbors, right? Titans.
Yeah, but I would argue that what the Giants did was actually genius. I mean, having an abundance of quarterbacks is definitely never a bad thing for a team that had DeVito, Mac Jones, or Daniel Jones last year. Trading up to get a player shows me that you wanted this guy. You studied this guy. You didn't just wait and pick the best available. You had a plan. Having competition in training camp will show that one of these guys is a superior athlete. I mean, I'm really excited to see what Jackson Dart could do if he learns from a Russell Wilson and tries to learn from a Jameis Winston. They're both great role models, and have had a long career. I can see Jackson Dart becoming a quarterback week 8 and maybe winning some games for the Giants.
I don't see the path to Jackson Dart playing this year. You know what I mean? Because of all these quarterback moves.
But is that a bad thing?
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that when we're talking about card price, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want your card to go up or down, right? And I mean, part of this discussion is irrelevant because Prism will probably drop in like December, right?
Really?
But at the same time, you might grab something out of Don Ross, or you might grab something out of an inferior product or something that releases early, whether it be like an Illusions or I'm trying to think of like what drops in August and September before everything else.
The early stuff is Score, Illusions,
Mosaic should even drop like mid-season.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen.
Don Ross.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, Don Ross drops like there's downtowns, right? So downtowns are going to drop relatively early. Once they do, now you have a Jackson Dart downtown. Now you have a Shedeur Sanders downtown, and the question is, are you trying to make money? Are you trying to collect? Are you trying to hold long term? The money to be made in your card going up in price is when that quarterback enters the game. That is where you're going to see a peak. And then you'll see another peak if he plays well, right? But if I'm buying a card in August or September, assuming that a prospect quarterback is going to come in week 8 or week 10, like that's where you can make the money. If Cam Ward's playing week 1, you don't have a lot of
you have no chance
time and space to make money on that card, right? So it's very hard to go up on Cam Ward unless Cam Ward just comes in and starts balling out, right? If that happens, all right, you're sitting on Cam Ward, good for you.
But if you look back at the best quarterbacks in the league, Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. Lamar sat behind Joe Flacco. Josh Allen sat behind Tyrod Taylor. I mean, sitting behind a player and learning from them is super valuable. There's also gives you time to buy the card, which you said is like, if you have till week 8, then you can get Prism Dart for backup prices. Cam Ward is every time I see a first overall pick, I'm like, can't buy you. Scratch him off the list.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. And there's plenty of scenarios too. I mean, Joe Burrow and Herbert, when they first came out, Joe Burrow was peak number 1, and Herbert balled out early. Joe Burrow ended up breaking his ankle or breaking his leg. I think it was his fibula.
Like week 3.
Yeah, so he was out, and Joe Burrow prices went in half, right? So there's always that opportunity to pick up a player after injury or after a bad season, and then they rebound. I mean, Ja Morant, you've seen in basketball, has gotten injured multiple seasons. I remember picking up a Kaboom at like half price and then just holding for 6 months and selling it for double or close to double.
Whatever happened to XRCs coming out early? Like at this point, there should already be Cam Ward XRCs. They kind of ruined Select. Select might be the worst product now and could be the biggest fall off of any product.
I mean, zebras and
I love zebras. I love tie-dyes. I love field levels. But now there's 8 different levels. There's mezzanine, suite level.
For sure. When it was 3, when it was field level, concourse, and
then field level wasn't in retail, and now field level is in retail.
Yep.
I love XRCs. I used to love Select, but now it could be the worst product there is.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but like you're 100% right. Like, how can you ruin something like XRC? It's like when you hit that out of a box, you're like, what is this? Because you also like you're like, I gotta go look this up to figure out
wide receiver 3.
Right. Who's wide receiver 3, right? And then you figure it out, and you're like, oh my god! And then you gotta wait to get it back, and then but then when you like those cards are sick. You know what I mean? Like a gold XRC of a rookie. Like I would argue that those golds are more eye appealing than like almost anything outside of Prism.
Yeah, so we had, shout out to my friend Michael Linden, we owned the black Stroud XRC as well as the gold, the tie-dye, and the regular one. And we had a redemption. We were just foaming at the mouth, waiting for that card to come back so we could sell it for a crazy profit. You would get these XRCs, you would see your player balling out, and you couldn't sell them because they were stuck in your Panini account. And you were just like, oh, please come back before he gets hurt. Please come back eventually. And then they came back. It's the first good card of that player, and you'd make bank off them.
Well, it's also just a really cool concept to have a product that's, a 2024 draft class, but then say, hey, there's redemptions. And by the way, it's the only way to pull this card is through this box of the next year's player. Like, whoever came up with that was creative, right? That was a cool idea. And it's unfortunate that it's not being done the right way. There should be a chase every year for that exact XRC. And by the way, it doesn't even need to be just XRC in Select. Like, that model could work in any different type of product.
Oh, well, it got invented in 2002 for Pristine. LeBron has a 2002 Pristine Refractor to 250. It's one of his best cards that no one knows about. And this XRC game has been around for a while. But in Shrouds, in 2022, the most expensive card in that product was not the black Purdy. It's the black XRC Shroud. If you could look back at 2016 Select, the most expensive card is not a Dak Prescott black. It's the black Patrick Mahomes. So Select needs to get this product out way quicker.
Another quarterback I want to talk about, Quinn Ewers. You think there's any opportunity to make money on him and his card price going up or down?
Dude, when he got drafted, I was surprised he was in this draft. I had no clue. How did he end up sliding so far back? I thought he was a good player. I haven't watched a lot of tape. I know he's a notorious college loser, but that doesn't mean anything. That could be due to your team. There is value in drafting these, not drafting, in buying these late round picks and stashing them. I have friends who just buy bums and stash bums, and then they buy them for cheap, and then they can make a 10x off one, and it covers the rest of them. So, yes, there is value in Quinn Ewers. There is value.
Who drafted him?
Some Mickey Mouse team, probably.
Can't wait to see this. Who did Ethan call a Mickey Mouse team?
Oh, wait. Yes, the most Mickey Mouse team there is.
Yeah, they are Mickey Mouse.
Who also just got Zach Wilson. So now their team is Tua, Zach Wilson, and Quinn Ewers. When the season starts, they'll have no quarterback. It'll be great. Classic Dolphins.
Yeah, I really liked when the Jets drafted Zach Wilson over Justin Fields, and then our owner said that Justin Fields was
that guy.
The guy. Even though you didn't draft the guy, you drafted
If you saw
Zach
Wilson win 12 games for the Dolphins this year, would you be happy for him, or would you be kind of upset?
I'd be happy for him. I always rooted for him on the Jets, and I just think our organization just like ruins careers. And I mean, look at Geno Smith. Like, everyone thought he was crap.
You were hyped for Sam Darnold this year?
Oh yeah, sure. Like, good for Sam Darnold. I mean, like, the Jets are just like, this is how, like, what team can draft a quarterback, make them bad, and then years later they go to 3 different teams, end up on another team, and then they're good?
Amazing.
I don't think that that's an accident is what I'm saying.
No.
That's not a coincidence. That is horrible.
There's one common denominator.
Horrible management, horrible personnel decisions, horrible ownership. It all starts from the top, or so they say.
Who did the Jets draft?
The Jets drafted an offensive lineman out of either Missouri or Mizzou.
Good.
Which was the right move because I thought they were going to draft a tight end, which...
Speaking of the Jets, I think there's value around the league in drafting these guys like Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett who have no value and are starting.
Well, I have a gold Prism Justin Fields, and I also have a gold PSA 9 Justin Fields auto, and I also have a 1-of-1 Kenny Pickett shield out of Panini 1.
Dude, you're ahead of the time.
I'm down a lot of money on those cards. But yes, we'll call it ahead of the time. So remember, guys, if you're watching, we do talk about our losses as well. This show isn't about just making money up or down. I'm down on a lot of cards.
We're talking about losses. I sold a Caitlin Clark. Remember the gold Prism auto that I was flexing that sold for $25K? BGS 9. A PSA 8 sold for $36K yesterday. So that's a nice $15K loss on my end.
Oh, my God.
But listen. We always talk about the wins. We got to talk about the losses. There's tons of losses. Everyone who's invested in Shedeur Sanders are taking the same loss as me, so I'm not alone in that.
And the other thing I'll say is usually the first offer you get is the best offer you get.
Yes.
Like, I've historically been at card shows where, and I'll even say publicly, Anthony Richardson, 1-of-1, Prism, no huddle, black with an auto on it. And by the way, I think that the actual finite doesn't have the real auto or something. There was some so Mine does have the real auto.
Ah.
So I think that there was a reason for that, or at least a case to be made that this one was more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted $40K for it based on another one of ones. I think the finite did 90. So we priced it at 40, and I got either a $20,000 or $25,000 offer on it, and I didn't take it. And that was in the summer before last season started.
Oof.
And then you watch Anthony Richardson just have a horrible year. And I haven't sold at the bottom, but I should have taken that offer. Like, that was the offer. Now I have to wait for the card to potentially go back up to that offer, right? Like, it's most likely not going to exceed that offer unless he balls out, and I don't see that happening. But, I mean, listen, he's still young. We'll see what happens. He's got Jonathan Taylor. He's got a ton of weapons. But at the moment, my card is not up. It's down.
Yeah, but like talking about that Caitlyn, I made money on it. I should have lost $15K in value, but I made money on it. If you could take profit, sell the card. That first offer is good. If you can make money, like JGL told me, he was like, listen, you probably took the money and made more with it, which is true, you know? Like, sure, I lost out on all this money, but the money I got from that card, I've already flipped 2-3 times over. So it doesn't really matter. Take your wins.
So, I mean, I'm a big Mets fan, and this is kind of like, you know, a real-time decision we can talk about. You know, I have a decent amount of Pete Alonso, and he's crushing right now.
And Pete rockets one to deep left. Forget that. That is way out of here.
And, like, the smart decision is to just sell it all.
Yeah.
Sell all the Pete right now. He's hitting 350. The Mets are hot. Like, I probably have, like, 10 grand worth of Pete Alonso.
Jeez.
You know
Too
what I
much,
mean?
Too much.
So I should just sell it.
Yeah.
But I'll probably keep it. Won't sell it. He'll leave the Mets in 2 years, and I'll have a Pete Alonso collection, and he plays for the Rockies. And by the way, this is the truth of collecting, right? So, that's my current Pete Alonso situation. But you know, I also have some Lindor and some DeGrom and some other Mets players. So it's not like I wouldn't
There
have.
should be a podcast on how to lose money.
Yeah, this is called Down.
Yeah, it's just down and down.
Yeah,
I'm a T-Law buyer. I believe it.
I've always hated T-Law.
Can this be a buying ad? If anyone has NT or flawless T-Law, I am a huge buyer on it. There's so much potential. You got a Jewish head coach. Nothing I love more than that. T-Law is going to be slanging it this year.
Yeah, so if you want to sell your T-Law cards to Ethan, just comment below this video. I think that's the smartest thing to do. I have never really liked T-Law. I think that the Jaguars should have drafted Shedeur Sanders just for the fact that you could market, oh, we have Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and they've got 3 years of chemistry. In the event that, by the way, Trevor Lawrence has gotten hurt last year and the year before, I believe. So, if he does get hurt again for a couple games and Shedeur comes in and plays with Travis Hunter and does well, like, that's not a bad thing if you're the owner of the Jaguars. Or
Dude, have you noticed the fall off of talent? Like 3 years ago, T-Law was the first overall pick. Now it's Cam Ward. The jump of, if you saw a pro day of T-Law versus Cam Ward, you would lose your mind. T-Law, Joe Burrow, like, we used to have really good first overall picks. Shit's falling off, man. Pickett, Purdy, Bryce Young, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. These guys are not talented.
guys, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Up or Down. I am Dappz, co-host Ethan. Please let us know in the comments, who are you buying? Who are you selling? Is Shedeur Sanders going up? Do you agree with me? Obviously. Is Cam Ward going up? Do you agree with Ethan? Probably not. Do you think that maybe Jackson Dart is the guy? Maybe it's Dylan Gabriel. Where is the most money to be made in the card market over the next 12 months? We want to know in the comments. Please let us know who you think is going up or down.